I cannot tell you how many brands come to me thinking that their ads are working when actually they're just reading the complete wrong signals. And let me tell you from personal experience, if you are looking at the wrong metrics, you may as well just throw your money down the drain. My name is Fraser, I'm one of the co-founders at Fraggle. We're a performance ad creative agency and we have worked with hundreds of D2C brands, including Aloha, Nailboo, Chomps, Govee, the list goes on. But most importantly, we've helped those brands drop their CPA by an average of 30%. In today's video, I'm going to show you the right way to evaluate your ads and the 4 metrics that we use here at Fraggle every single day to do that for our clients. You'll learn what each one of them means, how to interpret them in your account, and also how to leverage them to make better calls. If you've ever second-guessed the decision in your ad account, then this video is perfect for you. It's going to turn you into someone that sits there and wonders, into someone that knows exactly what they're doing and makes smarter decisions. Now, let's get into things, shall we? Let's start with the first metric, possibly the most important one, CPA or CPL, depending on the type of ads that you're running. This is essentially your cost per acquisition or cost per lead. Basically, how much you are paying the platform to receive a sale. It goes without saying, this needs to be lower than the cost of your product. Essentially, your CPA tells you how profitable your funnel is. If your CPA is way over target and you're no longer profitable, then you have a bigger reason, but we need to delve into why your CPA is so high, and that's what the other metrics can help you understand. However, it is very important to understand your brand's economics to understand if your CPA is profitable or not. Setting up a simple profit and loss sheet is just one section of it. However, if you're like some of our clients where they're in retail as well as D2C, then you have to think of CPA a little bit differently. For example, we have had ads in the past that have had an extremely high CPA, eye-watering CPA, and all we did to bring that CPA down was change the hook. And the reason that worked is because the original hook was targeting the wrong customers, i.e. the people that were seeing the ad weren't the people who were going to buy the product. I always say this hook is your targeting, and often enough that's the first thing that we change because it has such a dramatic effect on CPA. Because as soon as that ad is then being targeted to the right people because you've changed the hook, the CPA comes down because the people that are watching the video are way more qualified. And so that gives Meta or TikTok a better idea at who your perfect customer is, and then they show the ad to more people like that, and so on and so forth. This is why with all of the ads that we make at Fraggle, we start with one core video and then we split that into 3 other variations, giving us a total of 4 videos per angle. This will give you the best opportunity to find a winner. It allows you to compare the different changes. Was variation 1 with this hook better than variation 3 with the other hook? Think of it like a science experiment, with the result being a better CPA. So remember, if your CPA isn't in target, your ad is failing. Now, the second metric, we touched on it just a second ago, is hook rate. This simply tells you, is your creative stopping the scroll? As brands, as advertisers, we're constantly battling for attention. That is basically what we're buying. And so to grab that attention, we need a really good hook. And the hook rate is the best way to measure that. I actually did another video on how to set up your hook rate if you want to go and give that a watch. A low hook rate means that your opening visual, your opening line, your opening caption, whatever takes up the first 3 seconds, isn't compelling enough to stop someone from watching. I often get asked, well, what's the ideal hook rate? That completely depends. Take Vibe, for example. This is a tech product mostly aimed at B2B customers. It's a large investment. Their hook rate is completely different to Nuvei, for example. The reason for that is both the price point, but also the customer. With Vibe, we normally have a much lower hook rate, but that doesn't matter because the CPA can be higher because it's a higher ticketed product. And also the pool of people we're trying to attract is smaller. So for Vibe, perhaps a 15 to 25% hook rate is perfectly fine because we're attracting a small proportion of Facebook's audience, whereas for Nuvei, we'd want something around 50% because the pool is bigger, which means we want to attract more people. We want to stop the scroll for more people. Hopefully that made sense. I said people quite a lot. So there isn't really a set number of what I say your hook rate should be, but I say general rule of thumb, you want it to be between at minimum about 20 to 25%, and at the top end, the highest you can possibly get is great. However, remember what I said before, your hook is your targeting. So aiming for a very, very high hook rate is great, but it kind of crosses into clickbait territory. territory. Terrible example here, but I could put a picture of a naked lady on the screen and it would probably stop a lot of people. However, a small proportion of those would want my product. So your CPA would end up being super high because it's costing you so much to show that ad to so many unqualified people. So it's all about finding the right mix between a very well crafted hook and a very well targeted ad. Before we go any further, this portion of the video is sponsored by Omnisend. If you're running an e-commerce brand, the chances are you think you have email and SMS under control. You've got the flows, you've got the lists, you've got the campaigns, but here's the truth. Most brands are leaving 30 to 50% of their email and SMS revenue on the table. Most are using some clunky tool that slows down the entire process, or they're not optimizing their sends using smart segmentation. However, the real winners, they're using their email service provider as a growth engine. And that is where Omnisend comes in, because not only is it the cheaper and the better option, it also automates what actually matters, delivers real insights that can help you directly improve your results, and gives you a massive $68 back for every $1 that you spend. That is almost double the industry standard. And I can tell you from first hand, having the right email and SMS provider is key to your brand's success. I've partnered with Omnisend and you get a massive 30% off your first 3 months if you use my code Fraser30. There's a link in the description if you want to check them out. Honestly, Omnisend is by far one of the best platforms out there and should be your go-to. So thanks Omnisend for sponsoring the section of the video. Link down below to sign up and get 30% off your first 3 months. Back to the video. Now the third metric that goes hand in hand with hook rate is your hold rate. Once again, I've made a video on how you can set that up in your Meta dashboard. Essentially, this is a retention signal. This means how many people got past the first 3 seconds. You can break this down further into how much of a percentage of the video that they watch. This really helps you get a much clearer picture of the video's retention. But as a whole, hold rate is another great metric to have on your dashboard to look at after your hook rate. Essentially, a low hold rate is telling you that your video wasn't engaging enough and it wasn't holding enough people. So if you have a very high hook rate but a very low hold rate, then you're great at attracting attention, but that wasn't necessarily the right attention, so they dropped off. This is where I see most brands struggling. They're very good at attracting attention, but holding it is a completely different kettle of fish. Usually this is a pacing issue, or it's a structure issue, or it's a creator relatability issue, i.e. the creator on the screen doesn't relate to your customer, and so why would they bother watching it? This is what I often see with very traditional style UGC, where it's a random person holding a product telling them how great it is. People don't really want to see that type of content anymore, so after the hook, they bounce. So for example, if we look at this retention graph here, this is motion that I'm inside of here. What you're seeing here is a drop off after about 8 seconds or so. This is usually pretty normal. You're never going to have like a retention graph like you'd see on YouTube, for example. You are always going to have a large percentage of people drop off. However, quite a lot of people are sticking around till about 8 to 10 seconds or so. You can see by about 16 seconds, 9.6% of people are still watching. So graphs like this can be really useful. You can actually get those in Meta. It's just a little bit harder. It's not always there. Sometimes they decide to put it there, sometimes they don't. So that's why I choose to use something like Motion that gives me those insights all the time. Our goal here is to make ads that have a really high hook rate and a really high hold rate, because both of those will equal out a lower CPA. Again, I can't give you a number of what that should look like on your account, but all I want to tell you is look at the average across your account and then try and beat it. Now, finally, metric number 4 is CTR, click-through rate. This essentially tells you how good your creative is at driving people away from the platform. You can look at CTR, or you can look at outbound CTR if you want an even clearer view. Outbound basically means someone is clicking away from the platform, because Facebook will count a click as someone clicking on to watch it in full. In basic terms, a low CTR means that people are watching the video, but they aren't motivated to click. Whereas a high CTR means that your video is doing a great job at driving people to click. And then if you look at your click to purchase ratio as well, that's another metric that you can look at. That tells you the percentage of people that have clicked from your ad then have gone on to purchase. Both very important metrics. Normally the things that affect this the most is the product. Is this a product that people actually want? Your offer. Is this an offer which is good enough to drive the click? Or just the CTA within the video? A lot of people don't even put CTAs in the video, which absolutely baffles me. At the end of the day, people are stupid, and if you tell them what to do, there's a higher chance that they are going to do it. Again, when it comes to what your CTR should be, look at the averages on the account and try to beat it. But if I had to put a number on it, I'd say that when we're looking at ads that we make at Fraggle, we're normally looking to get from 1.9 to like 2.5, for example. However, we have seen some ads that are in the retargeting stage that have a crazy high click-through rate in like the 10%. So wrapping up, by looking at all these metrics, your ad account will start to tell a story. You can start to see why it is costing you so much or so little to acquire a customer. At the end of the day, your goal is to sell your product for as cheap as possible. You don't want to be in the position where you're basically just swapping money with Facebook. So in summary, your CPA tells you how profitable your ad is. Your hook rate tells you how good your ad is at attracting attention. Your hold rate tells you how good your ad is at holding attention. And finally, your click-through rate tells you how well your ad is getting people to act. Understanding and mastering how to read these metrics will make you a better advertiser and will make your ad creators in the future better. Everyone knows how to look at them and how to judge them, but do you know what to do after that? Because that's what my agency Fraggle is really good at. So if you happen to run a D2C brand that's spending over 70,000 on ads, then I would love to have a conversation with you. Just scan the QR code on screen or click the link in the description to book a call with me and we can have that conversation. And if you want to go in a little bit deeper and see my strategy all the way from the top to the bottom, then check out my other video, which is a Meta Ad Creative full guide. But until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Drop a subscribe, drop a like. See you later. Bye-bye.